Joining us now, we have Republican and former state representative Linda Collins-Smith on the line. Linda, good to talk to you again, ma'am.
Hey, it's great to be on. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited. You are a candidate for Senate District 19. Is that correct?
That is correct. That includes Independence, Izzard, Sharp, part of Randolph, and part of Fulton counties. It's a wonderful area to live and great folk.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been up in that area, and it really is. And I really feel like that whole area is just poised to really make some changes from maybe being more loyal to the Democrats to at least considering the conservative direction that Republicans in this state offer. What do you think about that? What is the feeling on the ground?
Oh, it's a great feeling because we're basically a conservative people. And so when you talk about issues, they are right, I'm right with them on issues. And we've talked about the Democrat philosophy, how many people came from conservative Democrat backgrounds and their roots of being a Democrat, but things have changed. It is just so liberal. It's outside of what most Arkansans are comfortable with, and I think that's why we're seeing them now that they get the information about who the true conservative party is, that we're seeing more people vote Republican.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that, and I was up at the Randolph County Reagan Day dinner. I know you were there a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, and it was just that there was an energy there of the people in the community really coming around saying, "Hey, folks, we can do this." Because we are right on the issues, and we just got to get to the voters and tell them how these candidates these incumbents, they claim that they represent the people, but you just got to look at their voting record. Now, I do know that Senate District 19 is actually an open seat, but the guy who you're running against, Mclean, he's James Mclean. He's a former state representative as well, and he has an extensive voting record.
He does have an extensive voting record, and he also has an extensive voting record of refusing to vote. So it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
The guy shows up, but he doesn't always vote. So I know he's getting paid because he's in attendance.
That's a good point. And he definitely didn't vote on a lot of things. Let's see here. If you go and you look at the, let's see, this was the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Act, HB 1037. There's James Mclean, District 63. He voting, not voting. Like you said, not voting. He did the same thing on the Heartbeat Protection Act, decided not to vote on that as well. That was SB 134. That's really frustrating considering we're not talking about, a policy issue or a tax issue. These two bills had to do with the preservation of life and overriding the governor's veto, and they decide just to not vote. It's just unbelievable to me. And it kind of, do you think when somebody does that, they understand what the stakes are?
Of course I do. I think he knows very well. I just don't think he's a pro-life candidate. I'm very pro-life. I was endorsed by the Arkansas Right to Life. And you can't not know at the age Mr. McLean is where he stands on those issues. And so he knew exactly what he was doing. He's following his party line. And they didn't want those bills to pass, and this was where it counted, right here.
Yeah.
This is the life-saving bills that he refused to vote for. And so you can't claim you're pro-life. And that is just not one you can bargain with.
Yeah. One of the new contrasts that was recently reported on, I guess this week, was the contrast between you and James Mclean on Obamacare and really just big government in general. Him voting for the private option, actually bragging about voting for it many times now that we know what we find out bad news every single day on this, and you saying that you don't support Obamacare. I mean, elaborate on that.
Well, thank you about asking. That's one of the probably still the most talked about issues today, and that is Arkansas's hate relationship of Obamacare. The people know that that's bad policy. and they are feeling it now. My opponent proudly said 6 times at an event, at a meeting that we were talking to that had all walks of life, from hard physical laborers to the top, executives in industry. And he proudly piped up that he voted for it 6 times.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, that's very concerning to me, because we all know that the people don't want it, number one. So when you say you're against Obamacare, then by golly, don't vote for it. That's your word. The people are tired of politicians or people who just want to get reelected. And we don't want that anymore. That's why we're in the condition we're in here in Arkansas and in our country. And then on Obamacare itself, when you look at the day one that it was over budget when it went into effect here in Arkansas, and that every month the cost has increased, how do we pay for that? Where did these billions that we're going to be in debt? I said billions with a B. Where do we get those funds? Because we already have agencies coming to me and saying things like, we're already not funded.
Yeah.
We know that our agencies are at risk. And so he's either going to vote to raise taxes again, or you have to cut services. But we can't do it all. And I really have great concerns for the people. And there's more to it than that. There are all these people that were promised that they would have health care that truly don't have a policy now. It's taking from those who could afford to pay their insurance, double and tripling the cost, and now we see those people who paid for their own way can't afford to have health care. It is bad policy, and bad policy needs to be repealed.
Yeah, I completely agree. We're talking with Linda Collins Smith. She's former state representative. She's a candidate, Republican candidate for Senate District 19. Her opponent in the upcoming is James Mclean, also a former state representative. Now, because, Linda, you are yourself a former state representative from that area, you also have a voting record. But what's interesting is James Mclean, or people that that support James Mclean, are sending out mailers and ads that are lying about your record, like completely lying about your record. I mean, I'm actually stunned. I'm looking at this ad with a picture. I'm assuming this is not you. I know you have blonde hair, but it's a picture of a blonde-haired woman. With the back, the back to the poster, so it says "Turned her back on us." Linda Collins Smith turned her back on Arkansas families, and it said that you opposed the grocery tax cut, but I mean, you actually voted for the grocery tax cut. That was SB 276 of 2011. I mean, can you believe that James Mclean is out there, or are people supporting him, or trying to peddle these blatant falsehoods about you?
Well, keep in mind that this non-truth was paid for by James Mclean. So
okay.
We can say that he takes this on. He wrote that I didn't support the tax cut. I voted for the grocery tax cut. I'm a candidate that believes in less taxes and less regulations. Mm-hmm. And if we want Arkansas to prosper, let's put more money in hardworking families' pockets and businesses so we can give jobs. And when you look at the grocery tax cut, it was obvious that tax, along with others, needs to happen in Arkansas. We need to totally lower them. But when you stoop to the level that you would have to write this false statement, kind of is very concerning about the kind of person that he is. Remember, He paid for this ad. And
I'm glad that you clarified that, because I'm looking at the ad, but I can't see, who it's paid for, because I'm looking at it on the computer. But so you're confirming that he actually paid for this out of his campaign. So it's not some outside group, or it's not some other group that supports him. Let's see here. He comes at you then and says that you voted to increase taxes, which is just ridiculous. Because I mean, if you actually look at it, you voted for the grocery tax cut. You voted for the grocery tax cut. So how could it's really frustrating. What do you say to that? What do you say to him when he says that you voted to increase taxes on middle class families, but supports tax cuts for the wealthy? I mean, what do you say to that, Linda?
Well, I'm pretty much a straight shooter, as you know that, and I'm very kind to people, but they need to hear the facts, and sometimes they can't be sugar-coated. And he's just not telling the truth. And that should concern the people of the state of Arkansas and Senate District 19. Of all things, when there's a bill that clearly shows that I voted opposite of what he says, the people should be upset about this. And so we will get the message out that Mr. Mclean can't be trusted. He just can't be trusted with what he says.
Yeah, you actually voted for the grocery tax cut, and you voted for the sales tax holiday. What's funny is James Mclean didn't even vote to create the sales tax holiday. I mean, isn't that interesting that he's criticizing you for not voting on lower taxes when he himself doesn't vote for bills that would give people tax relief? Man, that's just frustrating.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I agree. I was just going to say, he says that he's the family man, and you look at the taxes that he's voting for, and when you're saying that I didn't do a grocery tax, he voted for a milk tax, and he voted for a cigarette tax, but he refused to vote for a tax cut on for families taking their children back to school.
Yep.
And so you just look at that, and you have to look at that character. Why would you even post that? Why would you go there? Why not just say what your merits are if you've got to go out and tell something that's not true?
Yeah. Your opponent also, James Mclean, he sponsored Common Core based pilot project. Is that correct? I mean, he's a yes on Common Core?
Yes. Yes, he actually did do that. And I don't have the bill number right in front of me, but he did, and I voted against that. Wow.
Unbelievable. And he voted the courage of his convictions and voted no on voter ID in lockstep with most Democrats, I think maybe all of them, that said that you shouldn't have to have an ID, show an ID to prove who you say you are when you go vote.
Yeah, that's one that's always interesting to me, that you have to have an ID to do anything, and why you would not want to protect elections. James Mclean and I served in the House, and we had a legislator removed. There was a legislator in the next cycle there that was removed from office, and that was voter fraud. It happens. It's there. It's real. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take a stand to protect every single person's vote? I just don't understand that. I do understand it. I take that back. I just don't. I just think they need to understand that we want our votes protected, and that was one issue that I was there the day that it passed committee, when Senator King got that out of committee, and I wouldn't have missed that for anything. It was a great day for Arkansas.
Okay, so we have established, and we could go more. There's more votes out there by James Mclean when he was in the state House that really just support this idea that he is not a conservative. He is a liberal. He's a big government liberal. He is voted with the Democrat Party of Arkansas to enable the policies of Barack Obama. That's how this whole process works, folks. All the money, you can follow the money in the parties, and they enable the policies in Washington, D.C. Common Core is one of those. We just talked about that. How do you communicate, Linda, to folks who maybe have never voted Republican before, but maybe they're starting to wake up, maybe they finally are seeing that, hey, just because I have voted one way my whole life doesn't necessarily mean that group of people have been right and have done right recently. So how do you get them to give you a look and say, hey, it's time to move on and do something different and actually vote for the people that stand up for the issues that I really believe in?
Oh, well, that's every day when I talk to people, that's what we talk about, and that's issues. If you want to talk about a pro-life candidate, you talk about Linda. They will know James Mclean did not vote pro-life, for that pro-life saving those bills.
Yeah.
And so legislation. And then when you talk to them about the Second Amendment, my opponent refused to vote for the privacy of gun owners, which could cause all kinds of problems, and serious ones, from theft or robbery. And when you talk about issues like that, and the fact that I've been endorsed by the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business, the largest association of small businesses, you have to understand that they start seeing that Linda Collins Smith is that real conservative. And these people are conservative, but they're not getting the fact that the National Party, the National Democrat Party that booed God and loves Barack Obama's policy, is the same policy that's going on in Arkansas.
Yeah.
I have a unique experience because I've been there. I've seen it. Didn't want to participate in anything that was so liberal. It's beyond what people hear. They can't believe Arkansas is that bad, and now they know. And you can yourself see. Did you see the amount of people, the Reagan Day dinner in Pocahontas in Ramsey County? We talked about that. But how many people do you realize that wanted to go change their registration because they got to sit there and listen about who was truly the conservative party of Arkansas?
Right.
And so I know that I'm that candidate, and when they talk about issues, and they can see the differences between the Republican platform and the Democrat platform, those people are going and voting, and they're volunteering to change Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with them, and we're going to do it together. It's not a one person. It's a team to bring Arkansas back and, for once, to have a prosperous state.
Wow. I applaud you, and thank you for throwing your hat in the ring. Linda Collins Smith, the Republican running for Senate District 19. I was having a conversation with a source of mine that I talk to sometimes about the state of politics, and this source. So I was talking specifically about your race and Blake Johnson's race, and what basically a lot of insiders who are following this really closely are saying that if either one of you win. If either one of you win, Linda Collins Smith or Blake Johnson, and I think you're both going to win, but if either one of you win, Obamacare implementation in the state of Arkansas is dead because they simply won't. There will be enough solid conservative Republicans in the Senate at that point that they have to be listened to. They have, you can't just. There'll be a solid coalition of 11, 12, 13 people, and then I think the rest will peel off as well. I mean, do you get that feeling as well, Linda?
I actually do, and Obamacare is just bad policy, and we can't support bad policy. Arkansas people deserve better than that, and so I believe that if we are elected, that we will see a change in that policy for the better. We will try to save other programs that we will not be able to fund if Obamacare in Arkansas continues, and so I agree with you. I do think that we're going to have enough people to make necessary changes to get Arkansas back on track of representing the people very well.
Linda Collins Smith, thank you so much for coming on the program.